welcome back to Around the Oval Radio. I'm your host, Ian Dubé, and today we're going to do a recap with Hawthrone Weslley. 5 good minutes from the Georgia High School Track and Field Championships at Jefferson, Georgia. Let's first start about the 1A division. Hancock Central out of Sparta, Georgia, seemed to win that competition very easily. Was there anything that you saw at the 1A division?
No, I mean those schools. It's you never from the 1A private. You never know who to expect. It seemed like each year there's a different school that evidently has a bunch of talent and uses it well at the state meet and wins. Track, again, 5 or 6 people. If they're good, you can win a state championship with them. But in Class A, that's kind of hard to do because usually the good team bring a whole busload to the state championship meet.
Now, to the 1A division, did you see any breakout performances?
Not public. I think it was obvious that the best performance in that group was Christian Coleman of Our Lady of Mercy. Another person that should be noted is Kenny Selman, who also had 2 exceptionally good performances. He runs for Pace Academy. He set the Class A state record, 13.96, and then he came back in the 300 hurdles, and he set another state record, 37.21.
Let's move up to 2A. So 2A, who were the champions in 2A?
Lamar County, on the basis of the fact that they had a good relay team and Westminster didn't qualify theirs. I forget, Westminster had something like a 4 or 5 point lead going into the race, and they had to watch Lamar County come in, I believe, second or third and beat them. Let's see how close. It was a 1 point win for Lamar County. Westminster did not have a relay team. Evidently, Westminster had a 5 point lead going into the final and lost by 1 point. For a disappointment, I'd say you'd have to say Westminster was disappointed.
Now, did Westminster not have a 4x4 that qualified, or they just didn't have that firepower, or they put it in the distance events or field events?
Westminster has not been that good in the sprints, and that includes the quarter mile. So they are not traditionally, they are, as you say, traditionally a field event and distance event type of team.
Now, were there any compelling stories to get to that point? So Lamar County, obviously, we don't think about them as a track powerhouse. Did they have some strong performer in some area that helped them win, take them over the top?
I can't think of the football coach's name, but they got a named football coach out of the Atlanta area who's doing a good job down there. All the people on the 400-meter relay team that set a state record were football players. I strongly suspect that their football coach has got every boy he wants to run out for track in some capacity, so he's going to be strong in the sprints.
Let's move up to 3A. 3A, who won 3A?
St. Pius, they did it on plenty of strength, a few people. Hall, that had an excellent performance in the shot and a national class performance, 194 in the discus. They also got a very good double out of their runner, Austin Sprague, and they got backup points in the distance races from him.
Do you remember of any performances that were outstanding in that division?
I'd certainly say Hall. I would say 194 in the discus. He was definitely the outstanding performer to me on St. Pius and in 3A.
Now let's go to the bigger schools, 4A. Now, who won 4A?
Men, Marist. I think if you look at Marist, they are what you might call it a good track team performance. I believe you can say they picked up lots of small points here and there and got it. Now, they did get points out of their distance runners again. There was a disappointment there. They were expecting 20 points out of their best runner, Navarro. They only got 16 out of him. They could have called that a disappointment, but that sure helped them to win. They got points. Their discus thrower named Brunson, he did win, but he did not throw as far this year as last year. You can say that was a disappointment, but that was 10 more points for him. and he also got some points in the shot. But Marist had some good performances, but except maybe for Brinson, they did not have a great one. But they still had enough good performances to win.
Tri-City.
If they had finished second in the relay, they would have won. They were behind, I guess, 7 points. Marist did not have a team.
What do you think about the kid, Ryan Clark?
He is, I believe, a junior.
Yes.
He had a good year, but most of his good year was the best race he ran, and I don't even know what the split was. To me, the best race I saw him run this year was his ankle leg on the relay. He did not have the year I was expecting him to have. In fact, as you know, he did not even win. It was one of these 3,000 of a second difference. But the fact is, he didn't win the 400 meter, and he did last year. I don't believe, I'd have to look back, but I believe he ran better times in the 400 and the 200 last year. But that's not saying he's not a very good runner. He had a 47.62, and the person that beat him ran a 47.60. He was 200ths of a second away from a state championship. But he probably ran a little better last year when he won the state championship. I'm not sure. Of course, they say people peak out, but I'm not sure that's correct. I don't know why he did not improve.
I mean, do you think that was a disappointment for him?
You darn right he was. It was a disappointment for me because I was really hoping that he would go under 47 this year. He was ranked in Track and Field News last year as a sophomore. So I would say, yes, that should be a disappointment, though I hate to see people say they're disappointed. As long as they do their best, that's fine, but I was expecting him to do better, and I suspect other people were too.
So now let's move up to 5A. We saw Evan Berry run his last race.
Yes.
So what did you think about the 5A competition?
Well, the 5A competition, that was, let's see, Mount Zion. Yeah, that's what I said earlier. Mount Zion, I think, surprised everybody by winning a state championship. I'm not sure when the last time a Clayton County team has won any state championship. If you talk about a surprise, yes, I think that was a surprise.
Did they nickel and dime their way up there, or did they win?
You'd have to go back and count, but I think that they got there with probably lots of seconds and thirds.
So now, this is what, the second year for 6A, is that correct?
Second year for 6A.
So was there any compelling stories leading to that championship?
Probably not, except for the fact I think Westlake probably thought they had an excellent chance of winning, and they didn't. And probably the relay that they didn't quite win may have set them off. I mean, they had run under 40 seconds before, and they ran an excellent time. I'll have to look at it. They ran an excellent time, but it wasn't what they were expecting. I'm certain. I know that they weren't expecting it. Let's see. They ran a 41. They ran a 41.49. They ran under 40 one time. That was their best.
So Westlake was the favorite going in. Would you say that?
I would say that. I
So
would definitely say that.
what changed Westlake's luck, if you want to call it that?
Bobby Dodd, years ago, after he lost a game he shouldn't have lost, they asked him why. Of course, Bobby Dodd was a big golfer. He says, some days you can make a 15-foot putt and other days you can't. Westlake has run under 41. This time they were probably almost a second off their best time. I mean, it's like the old cliche, it just wasn't their day. Of course, part of the problem, I don't call it a problem, but it may have been that a freshman, and they were relying heavily on a freshman, it may have been that a freshman just wasn't quite ready for the big dance.
Now, I saw Pollard. He was in the finals. He was third in the 100-meter.
Yeah.
And did they have anybody else that could accompany Pollard?
They did not have any other sprinters in his class. They had good sprinters, but not great ones. Well, I'd say good sprinters. They have to have very good sprinters to run a 41.5. Anybody on there, you can't run 41.5 without 4 excellent sprinters. They have 4 excellent sprinters. But they didn't have 4 sprinters that could score big in the sprints. Pollard was the only sprinter they had that scored at Jefferson. I think that may have been one for them, just too many good athletes. But I will say this, Westlake, of the teams in the Atlanta area, is certainly coached as well as any of them.
So let's wrap everything up. So out of everything that you saw Saturday or Friday or Thursday, Thursday, Friday, what was the most breakout performance you saw over the weekend?
There again, you're asking a double question. Some people run one event, some people do 3 or 4. The best performance I saw for multi-events was Kristen Coleman. The best individual performance, and when I do that, I'm going to judge where it'll get you ranked nationally, I would say that was Danielle Hall. I'd say 194 feet was the best performance of that meet. However, if you want to add 4 events, you'd have to say Coleman was the best. I think you can look, and I don't know what this kid's going to do, but there's a sprinter for Westlake that's a freshman. And I think if anybody's going to do some record breaking, it's him.
Rashad Pollard?
Rashad Pollard. Isn't he a freshman? Am I right?
He is a freshman. Yes, he is.
If you're looking for somebody in the future to be a future a record breaker, I would say him.
Hawthorne, I'd like to thank you for your great insights on the boys' high school track and field state championships. If you enjoyed Hawthrone Weslley's recap of the boys' Georgia Olympics, listen to the interview with Christian Coleman, the all-classification record holder in the boys' 100-meter dash.